Alright, hey, what's up everyone? Here we are. We're going to run through a second set of guides here. So, let's see. Thor's hammer. There we are. Should be good here. This is going to be for the Master Division. I'm just going to jump right in here. Now, I am kind of skipping, using a guide with a POC 4-ish 5. I do think a 4 is going to be very tough for this setup in Master. I'm just thinking of the par 5s. It's possible in theory. But one errant tee shot on a par 5, I'm really looking at like holes 6 and 9 here. And one errant tee shot is really going to cost you on a couple of these holes. So with that in mind, it may be just kind of not the best tournament to try to force your hand, because you really don't have a lot of luxury to, I'm relatively full power on both of those, even with a POC 6. So giving up that extra 6 yards on top of that with your driver really makes you just have to really nail that drive. And, having top spin is also a luxury on 9. So 6 and 9 really make things tough. And I'm also looking at holes like 8 as well. It's going to be so easy for, on a POC 6 to get down that hill and set themselves up for eagle. And with the 4, is it going to roll down that? How many times are you going to be able to get it to the fairway on 8? You may not be able to at all. It's really going to require kind of a perfect drive. So with that in mind, you may want to just kind of be looking at a POC 5, 6, and 7 as the only, and a POC 5 itself, because of hole 9, it's almost like taking a albatross attempt away, because you can't get the top, you don't have enough top spin to get it down there. So definitely something that you need to be thinking, and that's one of the main reasons I'm taking this a POC 6 account, because I really think that you should probably have one to consider going here. Now, I'm thinking for this ring adjustment somewhere in the neighborhood of 10-ish rings, so landing somewhere around here. And you'll also see what I'm doing with my curl here, and just trying to force this ball to the right as much as possible. So far so good. Looks good, looks good, looks good. And when you force it to the right half of this fairway, it typically creates a nice line. Here you can see we got this far enough out of harm's way. We might have put ourselves in between clubs here, though. So we'll have to see how close we are to min long iron towards max short iron. So I do really like that way. You can see the way that my opponent played. This is kind of an alternative approach. If I was going to do it this way, I would probably not try to... It looks like he's kind of intentionally playing the backstop. It's never going to get back down to the hole unless you play more backstop than that. So kind of a funny looking shot. You should need to get it higher up on that hill if you want that to come all the way down to the hole. It would, potentially stop, right on the lip of the cup. You really got to get that back there. But that is kind of one way to go about doing it, is just kind of utilize that backstop with more of a precision tee shot. I'm not saying that you shouldn't do it that way. It's at least something to keep in mind. I don't think that method is really all that bad of a shot. So now what we're going to do here is B52, and we're going to kind of start our alignment like this. You can see I'm kind of keeping this ball guide short intentionally. and kind of offsetting it maybe just a little bit to the left. Other than this, I am going to play probably, you can see I'm going to be pulling down towards min club. I'm thinking maybe a 10 rings in this case. So 10 for a 10.4. It should be pretty good. It looks like a little bit of an overplay actually, because it didn't quite land where I wanted. You could see it. I didn't really set up that close to the rough, but it actually landed pretty close to the rough. So even 10 rings there was a little bit too much, just barely. So, but, you know, you can see a good opportunity there. Now, one of the things that I do want to just briefly talk about is the whole B52 versus Grizzly thing. So, I do just want to kind of show you this. This account has B52-6. So the Grizzly is going to be a good club, but only, you know, in my theory, you know, I could have used it here because, you know, I'm not going to be towards max club at all. But that's one of the biggest reasons that Grizzly really is kind of, you know, it creates that 9-yard gap. So do you want that 9-yard gap? For this hole, it would have been okay. You know, especially with a POC 6, I'm always going to be down there far enough that I don't have to worry about using max club. But you can see my top spin, back spin, all very close, and just a little bit more ball guide. The curl really isn't going to be a factor on that hole. Something that I can technically bring, but I really don't need the extra ball guide. Like I can make that shot with 4 ball guide. So that's not a determining factor for me. So, but, you know, keep in mind, while your B52 is updating, you know, I would essentially say B52-6, B52-7 as kind of the top club, the top dog here. But, you know, if you have a 5, if you have a 4, you know, while that B52 is progressing up to a 6 or a 7, that's the point where you want to be thinking, you know, I should be using Grizzly 6, Grizzly 7, Grizzly 8 until that B52 hits this 6 mark. You know, and at this 6 mark, this is where, you know, it kind of gets that little bit of backspin boost, you know, and that 4 bars is all I need. As you can see, I could still stop the ball there perfectly. So once it hits that 4 bars, I have enough to technically make that shot. So to avoid that 9-yard gap, but, you know, keep in mind, this is going to be a whole specific discussion. So, you know, those 9 yards aren't going to cost me. So I very well could use Grizzly there. And in terms of ring adjustment, you're going to find it to be the very same thing. Whether I'm using Grizzly or B52, I would have went the same amount of rings there. So keep in mind, if I provide you the rings for B52, we're going to do the same thing for Grizzly. So keep that in mind. Good luck with that hole, and I will see you guys on 2 coming up.